Guys, this is your introduction to the Showit platform. So today I'm going to walk you through on how to navigate the platform and where to find things and how to use this amazing tool. So to start, I'm going to start up here in the upper left-hand corner here, and we are going to talk about the site settings. So connect your domain and would be under the site settings. You can also click here, but we're going to start in the site settings here. So here is going to be your site name. So right now it is under Autumn, which is my template name, but go ahead and change that to your own business name. Here is where you're going to add your own domain. So you're going to add your URL here, and then you can also add a favicon logo, small little image. It's going to appear up in your web browser here. And then you can also update some information such as the public URL, which is going to be based on your domain. And then vanity URL and preview URL, not something you need to worry about because there's a preview button up here. But if you ever need the URL to share with someone, you can always go here or just copy it from the web browser. Here's where you're going to set up your blog if you're going to have a blog on your site. So in order to set up your WordPress blog, you're going to have to request some help from the Showit team. They do all the heavy lifting, so really there's not much that you have to worry about. You can just update requests for them to set that up so they can handle that for you. Third party is where you're going to find your Google Analytics. So this is where you can put in your Google Analytics information or your Facebook pixel ID. So you can begin tracking your pages and see where people are coming from, what they do on your site. Definitely recommend setting that up. Okay, yeah, so this is where you're just gonna go for all of the kind of admin information. Very important to know where that is. Next, you're gonna come down here and you're gonna see design settings. Go ahead and click on that. And this is where you're gonna update all your colors and your fonts and all of that. So here you have your color palette, and you definitely wanna be strategic on what colors you change. So here, black is what I use for most of the text within the template. So you want to make sure that that stays a dark color to make sure that your text is readable. Here is the highlight color that I use for a lot of the hover effects. So that's an important one. And then from here, here are some background colors, and you definitely want some white in there as well. So here's where you can add in your own brand color palette. And to enter in your own color, just make sure you know the hex code of all your colors in your color palette, and you can just enter that in there and it will automatically update for you. Here is where you will find your font styling for how you're going to style the different text on your website. So here you click on these little icons here, and there's a mobile version and a desktop version, which is really nice. So you're able to make sure that the font on mobile is not as large as the font on desktop. You definitely want to have control over both of those. So here, if you click on the three little dots here, this will jump down, and this is where you can change the font here. You can change the font size, you can change the line height, so the amount of space in between each line of text, the letter spacing, which I definitely do on some of the subheaders here, so the space between the letters, which I think is always nice if you have an all caps subheader like that. Always like to add a little bit of letter spacing. You can update the alignment, which you can always update later within the actual pages, but it's nice to have that setting. You can change the letter case, so they could all be uppercase, it can be lowercase or title case or just normal. Again, you can make all of these changes later on within the designs, but it's nice to have the foundation already set, so when you quickly want to add a header, it's already styled how you want. Here you have the color, so you can change the color of it. Link color, so what color would be if it was a link, and the hover color if something were to hover over it. Again, I usually make these changes within the design. This is something you can do to make your life a little bit easier, but I usually like to just do it within the design of the page. So you have another heading here. You have a subheading and paragraph, so you can change up the paragraph so it can be something that's really readable and legible for your audience. So there's where all the settings are for changing your fonts. If you wanted to add new fonts to your design, because there's only a handful of fonts available within the template. If you want to completely change the fonts that are used within the template, you can come over here to fonts. In here, you can search different fonts that are available. So most of these fonts are Google fonts. So what's kind of frustrating is you can't actually see what they look like here. But if you just go over here, click Google Fonts, you can browse all the different fonts here, find which one you like, and then go pick it within this list. You can pick the style. So let's say, I don't even know what this looks like. So they might have like a normal bold, semi-bold. That's horrible. Don't use that one. But you get what I mean, where you can choose the styling of that font. And then you can also add custom fonts, which is really nice. You just have to make sure that the licensing allows you to use fonts within a website. But you can go on other websites like Creative Market or Typewolf, all different types of font websites, and get a font that you like, and you just have to convert it to a WOFF file. Don't know what that stands for, but you can use their free generator on Font Squirrel. Here's a link right there. You just add the font file there and convert it into a WOFF, and then you're going to add that to the image file and or the media library, and then it'll pop up right here for you. Because I have already see here the fonts that I've added to my media library. It's really simple. It sounds complicated, but once you do it once, it's really quite simple. And so then you can go ahead and move that over into your active fonts. And then make sure you click Save. Okay, so that is everything within the design settings. Let me just go back to double check that I've gotten everything. Yeah, so again, mobile is where you're going to fix any mobile font styling. Desktop is where you have control over your desktop font styling. Okay, next up on the left side here, you have your media library. And this is really important for adding imagery and videos. So all you have to do here is go upload and go pick some imagery that you'd like to add to your site. So I have a lot of folders here because I have a lot of sites going on for clients and other stuff, but definitely make your life easier and create some folders for yourself. You can also search, which is really nice if you want to make sure you use certain names for your logos or certain imagery. So that search function is really nice for adding in the right imagery quickly to your site. And I will go over exactly how to add them to the design, but for now we're going to just go over where everything is. So next we have all of your pages laid out here. So for this site we have a home and about and services, but if you wanted to see exactly what is on the home page, you come over here to this tab, and here are the different content blocks within this page. I'm not going to dive into them quite yet, but if you wanted to get into the different content blocks within a certain page, it's going to be under this page tab. Next, we have the blog templates. So this is these are going to be the pages that are integrated with WordPress. So they're definitely a little bit different than the just regular pages on your website, because these are going to be tied to a WordPress blog. And so certain things on the right side here are applied, which I will go over to the right side shortly. I just want to keep going down the list here. And then site canvases are going to be canvases, or I like to call them content blocks, that are that can be applied to multiple pages. So when I say a content block that's applied to multiple pages, think your logo design. We also have the desktop menu, so your menu or your footer. So this is something that is almost on every page. And what's nice about this is that when I want to make a change to the footer, let's say I want to change coaching to something else, it is applied to the entire site. So you don't have to go on each individual page up here and apply that change. So this is something that's really helpful for, yes, footers and headers, as well as email signups. So that's something that you can have on multiple pages. Anything that is on different pages and you want to make one quick change and make it the change on all the pages, that's what you're going to do with site canvases. All right, so how you are viewing this right now, I'm going to go back to home just so it's a little bit easier. All right, so now down here you have the option to view your designs in either mobile and desktop. You can view only mobile, or you can view only desktop. So personally, I like to design in desktop first, but it is really nice to have both open, especially if you have a larger screen, just to make sure that whenever you make a change on desktop, you also make sure that it looks good on mobile. So most of the time when you make a change on desktop, you want to double check on on mobile that it is that the images are in the right spot and that the text is lining up right. You know, you can make changes on either however you need, which is really nice to have that control so you can really make it a unique experience on both platforms. So definitely want to just keep both these open at some point so you can make sure that you're making the changes on both desktop and mobile. That's really important, or else you're going to get on your phone one day and see that everything is jumbled up. So I mean, even adding you know, a rectangle or something like that, you have to make the changes on both desktop and mobile, which can be annoying, but it honestly is really nice to have that capability of changing both, which you, a lot of times you don't on website platforms that you design yourself. So here, down here, continuing on the bottom here, you have the option to view these guides. I find them helpful to keep them there, but you know, if it helps to get rid of them so you can see how it really looks, so you can get rid of those guides if you needed. Let's see if I can get it back on. All right, we're gonna get those on later. So once you're on the design, we're just gonna do desktop now. You can zoom in on a design. You can reset the zoom. This is nice, especially if you have you know, some things you want to make sure are all in line. So yeah, that's a nice tool. We're going to continue with these three icons down here. So this is where you're going to add any new text to your design. So remember the font styling that we established at the beginning of this video? This is where this comes in handy. So you can either add your title text here. You can add let's bring this up so you can see what I'm doing. You can add title text, you can add a heading text, your subheader, or you can add paragraph text. So they make it super easy just to add text. You can mess around with the size of the text block here so it can fit what you need. And then on the right hand side is where you're going to have control over the styling, which we're going to go over in a minute. But I just wanted to quickly show you how you can add text to your page and show it. You can drag and drop this baby everywhere. And then you just want to make sure that you come over. And as you can see, mobile is a little bit different. So you want to make sure that you can come in here and move that around as well. Because as you can see, they just kind of plop them in the design and you are in control over where things are. So there's where you can add different text. Over here under this icon, this is where, let's go back over here, let's get rid of these because they're gonna just be in the way. So here we have the option to add a rectangle, which is always just gonna come out black or whatever the first color in your color palette is, but you have control over here to edit the colors, edit the shape. Whoop. You can spin it around if you want. But yeah, so here you have the option to add a rectangle. Again, make sure that you come in here and change it however you need based on mobile or desktop. Okay, we don't need that. So next, we're going to show you how to add an icon. So Showit has a collection of different icons that make it super easy to add in, you know, your social media icons. If you wanted to add those, you can change the size of those. You can change the color of them on the right hand side here. When you are resizing something on Showit, I highly recommend you hold down Shift. That's going to keep everything proportional. So that's where you can add different icons. You can actually add in your own icons as well with a custom icon, a custom SVG file here. I really don't do that too often, even as a designer. I just use theirs because it's nice and easy. So, because they give you so many options too. So you can come over here, you know, if you need to do a new menu as well. They have these little guys. They have play buttons. They have, you know, all sorts of fun stuff for you to choose from. Okay, so yeah, that's where you're going to go if you're going to add, you know, a social media icon or anything like that. Embedded code. So that's going to pop up and look like this. And you're going to come over here. I'm going to go over the right side, I promise, but this is where you would go and enter in some custom code. Let me go ahead and show you on my own website so you can get an idea of where my custom code is and how it works. So you can use this for, say, a MailChimp email form or a custom form that someone fills out. So I'm actually going to go show you where my custom form is. So I use HoneyBook, and that is what I use for all of my customer retention management. And so I use their form from their site, and all this is on the back end is this code. And so you just want to make sure that you drag and drop the frame to fit whatever code that you drag in there, and it'll populate in here, so you can see what it looks like on your actual site. But this is all code that I just dropped in here that is usually provided by, you know, the platform that you're pulling from. So say it's HoneyBook, your CRM system, or your email provider such as MailChimp, they'll provide you a code for a form. Customizing it, that's another thing, but just adding in some code here is not a hard thing to do. You just bring in this embedded code frame here, and you enter it in, and then just make sure you resize the frame to fit whatever is within that code. So that's how you add some custom code. You can add a video, and then you can also add a gallery. So this would be an image gallery. So this is if you want to do a slideshow of any sort, and have images automatically slide. So here you would come over here on the right hand side, manage images, pick the images that you would like within that gallery. And so you just want to click them over here and bring them over. And then you can play around with which one's going to be first. I think I'll do that one first. And then you also have controls of the gallery settings over here, where you can have, it's either a simple gallery, a tiled gallery, or a sliding gallery, sizing. And then you can also have control over whether you want to fade or slide, and then auto advance, which means when the images will slide to the next one. So they have it set for 3 seconds. So once someone lands on the page, it's going to take them 3 seconds, and then it's going to slide to the next one. I'm going to go ahead and put that at 2 so you can see it nice and quickly. And then this is a transition time if you want it to go a little slower, a little faster. That's how that works. So I'm going to show you how to preview this. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Is it hidden to start? There it is. Oh, come on. There, it's working. It was just being a little finicky. All right, there's my gallery. So that's how that works. You always got to give it a moment. All right. So that's how you add a gallery. Okay. Next up, you have your media library. So this is where you're going to find, or where you're going to add all of your images, which we've already gone over this, and this is, has all of the folders. If you want to create different folders, you just click upload and go find them on our computer. All right, my friends, now we're going to get into the actual designs of your Showit site, and on the right hand side here, this is where you're going to find all of the styling and how you're going to apply different imagery and any sort of different colors and stuff like that. So as you go down the design, when you come over here to your page, when you click on that main page, so like we have the different pages over here, you have home, you have home one, which is my duplicate home page, just so I don't make any changes to my original design. When you click over here and you have that none of these different layers selected, the different content blocks selected, here you're going to have on the right hand side the page info. So this is going to be the page name. This is where you have control over the page color background. I really don't touch this area much, just because I usually have control over it within each content block, but it's nice to maybe make either white or a certain natural color that you want it to have in the background for the full page. But again, I don't really touch this area much, just it's there if you need it. And then in terms of the animation, so this would be the default hover settings for the page. I usually just apply the hover effect based on what I'm designing. You can have control over it per each section, but if you want to make your life easier and do a default hover for the page and then just apply that default hover, that makes your life a lot easier. Here you have the SEO settings where you can add in your page title and then the meta description. This is really important for getting people to search your website or find you on Google. So definitely want to come in here and add that information. And then advanced settings, this is where you would add in some specific HTML or code, say that you need it for Facebook pixels or something like that. Not really in my realm, don't know a whole lot about that, but it's there if you know what you're doing. I'm not that person, I have a tech guy to help me with that kind of stuff, but it is there if you need advanced settings. That's where you'll find it. Okay, so we're on a home page here, and over on the left side, we have the different content blocks here. So we have 3 site canvases up at the top, which is the logo, and we have the desktop menu, and then if you look on mobile, we have the mobile menu. So that's just how I have it set up. So those are the 3 site settings. If you want to make changes to those, if you click on it, you're going to edit this, and it's just going to populate the exact site canvas here, and so you can make changes to that here. One thing I do want to point out here is we have the desktop menu, and how I have this set up is I have scroll links under content, and then it is also sticky top on scroll. So what this does is when people are going to scroll down the page, that's going to stay up at the top. And before I get into all this, just so you know, the preview button up here, that's going to be your best friend. That's where you're going to look at the designs after you've applied some changes, and this is where you can see what it looks like on a live site. So you can either preview it within this window, or you can actually click this link and it's going to bring it into a browser window, which I like to do because this is what the real website's going to look like in a browser window. So what I mean by sticky is the element stays up at the top. So you have control over that on Showit. So that's a nice feature. All right, let's keep moving along here. So yeah, here are your different canvases. And so when you click on the canvas over here, you will have controls on the right side here. You're gonna have control over the canvas name. You're gonna have control over the canvas type, which is either window height or grow with content. That's gonna be more for your WordPress blog information, but window height's gonna be where the canvas is the full size of the web browser. I usually just leave it at normal. If I want it to be larger, I give it some more height here. And then again, this is where you're gonna have the option to make it sticky. Usually I don't recommend making anything sticky other than the navigation. It's gonna turn into a sticky situation. I'm sorry, I had to do that. Okay, so then hidden to start is an option that you can include if you wanted to use, say, a pop-up. So you can create a pop-up and then it's hidden to start, and then once someone, there's gonna be a scroll action over here. Once someone scrolls over that, it's gonna pop up. So I don't do a whole lot of pop-ups. It's definitely something that you can do. It's a really good marketing tactic. I personally just don't do them. Again, here's the option to change the background of your specific canvas. So let's say I wanted to make this guy white. That's gonna change the whole background of just that content block. So right now I'm on the service highlight over here. That's where you can change just the background of that section here. I'm gonna go back to the original color. You also have the options to add animations. So when someone scrolls over it, an image can scroll in or it can fade in, text can slide in. So that's where you have different controls over that here. Here's where you could add those transitions where it's a canvas, comes into play. You can do a fade, you can do a slide, you can adjust the timing, you can adjust the delay so it doesn't necessarily happen right when someone scrolls to that section. You can adjust the direction. So this is definitely more advanced stuff, but if you want to keep it simple, I wouldn't worry about it. But if you did want to add some of those CSS animations that show that movement and animations that really catch the eye, say you wanted a big buy now button to come in or, project inquiry button, that could be a really good tool for that. Scroll actions. This is, again, if you wanted a pop-up to show up when someone hits a certain point. Again, this is advanced. You really don't have to do this if you don't want to. I don't really do it. It's there if you need it. There's also a lot more documents and stuff on Showit that goes over the details on how to do this properly. I'm not going to show you right now because I'm not sure I'm going to show you how to do it properly. All right. So again, let's go back over here. So on your left side, you have your different content blocks, and then within each content block, you have your different elements. So here we have my gallery, we have the simple rectangle, We have another rectangle as my button. We have the Let's Get Started button. And then we have my text here. So that is what's showing up over here on the left side. And what's nice about this is you have control to either have this just show up on your desktop or just show up on mobile. So these two little icons right here are what is going to control that. So if I have, let's view both of these. So let's say I didn't want this image on, or this gallery on my phone. I just wanted the text here. So you're just going to click that. And so as you can see, it's not highlighted on the mobile. So it's just going to show up on desktop and vice versa. You also have the option to click on these three little buttons here, three little dots here, and you can have control over if this whole content block is just going to be visible on mobile or just visible on desktop. Another great control. So that's where the mobile menu is just visible on mobile. All right, let's keep going under this three little dots here because there's a lot of good stuff here. What you can do under these three little dots is you can either rename the content block. You can duplicate this section, which is really nice. So you can, you don't have to start fresh each time. So say you have, a content block that's going to have the similar elements as this, just go ahead and duplicate it. You can copy it and then paste it onto another page. You can cut it. So just get rid of it on this page. Here's where I can paste some of the stuff I've already copied. I can convert this into a site canvas. So say this banner is going to be used on multiple different pages. I can create this into a site canvas so I have control over it on all of those individual pages, or I can just completely delete it. I'm pretty sure it's the same as cut. But yeah, so that's what is under these three little dots. So there's a lot of good information under there as well. So when you have the different, let's go and do this, sorry. When you have the items selected within the different content blocks, different elements are going to show up here on the right-hand side. So this is a gallery. So this is going to have where I have control over my gallery images. So I can manage those images. I can add in different images if I wanted. If this was just a regular image, there might be, you have control over the size and position. So this is where you can edit how big it is. You can also edit how big it is just based on these old tabs. You have different settings over here that you can play around with, whether for the gallery especially, you can have it, when to advance the images and how long it's going to take. Click action. So this is where you're going to have control if you want this to be linked somewhere. So you can link it either to a page, another canvas. So this is if you wanted to link this section to another canvas within the page that you're on. So say I want, I don't think I would link a gallery, but say I wanted this button to go down to a different section on this page. You click the canvas name, which is over here on the left-hand side, and that's going to scroll that person down to that canvas, that specific content block on the page. This is also where you would have control over different viewpoints, which I'll go over in a little bit. So I'm not going to do that right now. You can also add actions, which this is going to show or hide different canvases, or it can advance a gallery. So if they wanted buttons that are going to advance a gallery, that's going to be there, or show a different canvas, stuff like that. I will go over that, don't worry. Transitions, those are going to be your CSS animations if you wanted to get some movement going on your page. So say I wanted this text to slide in, we're going to have it take its time coming up. We're going to have it delay 0.5 seconds, and it's going to come up. Let's see if my preview is going to work for you. There it is. So yeah, that is what it means by transition. There's my gallery images moving automatically. So it just creates some movement and, catches the eye of your audience. Hover, so this is important. So this is where you can set up your page default, like I showed you at the beginning, where you can come over here and set up, so default hover. So you can have that set automatically once on the page, so you don't have to do it each time. Or you can have control over here with a hover action. You can do the page default, or you can do custom where you have it changes a different color. You can also mess with the letter spacing. I'll show you what each of these look like. You can have it get underlined. You can change the size so it gets a little bigger when they hover over it. You can actually change the entire font if you wanted that. So these are all really nice features to have when it comes to hovering over a button. So here for the hover, we did a different color, and it underlines it, and it makes the letters longer, or the letters more separated. Don't recommend using all of those features, but that gets you to see how to add different hover effects to buttons. In effects, this is where you can do rounded corners for your buttons if you wanted. You have control over, how rounded you want it. You can also do a circle if you needed a circle shape for anything. And then this also is the opacity, which is really important. I'm trying to see where I have some opacity. Let's just do this. So if you wanted this, image to be lighter, you have control over how light it is. Say you have text over it and you need it to be lighter. That's where that comes in handy. Another thing I want to show you is with the different canvases, especially with those canvas backgrounds, I showed you how to do a color background. Now, if you wanted to do an image, that is totally doable. You just come over here. So instead of color, you would choose image. You can also do a video. But here we have the image, and then here are the settings for that image background. So I usually have it set to fill, and then you can actually have control over where in the image it is visible. So you can play around with, what looks best based on the image. And then you have the option to either have the image scroll with the page. So there's not going to be, so it's just going to go with the page. It's just going to be, come on down. I don't know how to say that differently, but then there's the parallax, which is where it actually stays in place and you keep scrolling. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm bad at explaining that. All right, so yeah, here we have where it's a parallax feature, which is really nice and it looks really fancy, but it's really easy to do. So yeah, as you can see, the image kind of scrolls behind the content. So I usually like to do that. You can turn it off if you want. Here's also where you have control over the background and if there's like a color overlay. Let's just use this as an example. So let's say I wanted just to put the text directly on the image, but as you can see, that's kind of hard to see. I'm gonna go ahead and make this text white really quick so you can see what I mean. All right, so come back to the canvas background. Just by clicking the image, it'll bring you to the canvas background. And so now I'm going to make the opacity on this, let's go 70, and here's the color. So as you can see now, it's got a black overlay so you can read that white text a lot more easily. You can change the colors of that as well if you want it to be a little bit warmer. Stuff like that. So you have control over all of that. Bear with me, we have just a few more things to cover and then you will know the basics of the Showit platform. So there's a few more things I want to cover. And if I missed anything, I will try and tag it on the end. But here I wanted to show you where the controls are for your text. So here you can click on any of the text that you want to change and you have control over where you can change the style. So this is where you have it already set up in your font palette. So here, as you can see that this was when there's a little plus sign, that means I made a change to the original style. So here, that's because I changed it to white. But you have control over the colors. You can actually even add in a color that's not even part of your palette here. You can change the font. So say you wanted to bring in a completely new font that's not part of your font palette, just kind of as like an accent font, you can do that as well. You can change the size, the line height. So when I say line height, this is just the space between the lines, the letter spacing. So if you want it to be really spaced out, that's a little much. Definitely play around with the smaller sizes there. You can change the letter casing, the alignment. You can do columns, which is actually a new feature. I've not seen that yet. And then overflow, which means, and this is really important for, I would say, your WordPress blog content. Whether you want it to just be a single line, or you want all of the content to display. So I mean, like see this frame is a little bit smaller than where the text is. You can have it be single line and that shows that there's more content. So you just have control over that. I usually just keep it to display. But again, this is a nice feature to have if you wanted to mess around with that on your blog content. Here's again where you have control over the link colors. Text property. Okay, so this is important. Let's come on up here. Okay, so here we have the form. So this is where you have control over people entering in their information, and then this is going to get sent to your email. So here, all I did was add in, some heading text, and then over here in the text properties, you'll see the contact form. You just say enable input, and then that's going to give you a few more options for whether you want this to be required. In subject, I don't know what that is. Reply to, I don't really know what those are. I don't mess around with those. But really all you need to do is say enable input, and it's required or not required. And then if you'll need to also create a submit button. So they actually submit the contact form, and that's going to be under click actions. So you're going to come over here, click on click actions, and this is going to actually show you a different view because it's going to bring you to a thank you page. It's going to say thank you for submitting your form. We got it. It's nice to have that that next page so people know that their form has actually been submitted, or else you're probably going to get a lot of emails being like, I tried to submit your form, but nothing happened. So this is nice to have. I'll show you what to do on the left-hand side here, but first I'm going to show you the click actions. What you want to do is have them, you want to click on canvas. You want this to stay on this canvas, so this specific content block. You don't want to go anywhere else, and you're going to click next here. Just click next. Don't worry about anything else. You're going to scroll to that canvas, and the important thing here is submit contact form. They want to make sure that is selected. And so over here, what you do is there's going to be two views. So all you have to do is add canvas view, and that's going to add another view, and you're going to put different information within each view. So right now I have the different text blocks all within the first view. The view 2, all that has is some more information that shows that it was successfully submitted, and that there's a little bit of text showing that it's been selected. So what we did with that submit button is just have it go to this next view that shows that contact form has been submitted. So that's really important that you, and then it's also good to know that you can have different views on the left-hand side here. So like, for example, with the reviews, I have multiple views which contain the different testimonials. And then these icons are what are in charge of going to that next view. So I have that set up under click actions. So when I added an icon, just from the icon chooser, I can even choose a different icon here if I wanted to. That guy's kind of ugly. Let's go with this guy. So then the click actions here are going to be, you're going to click type as canvas, this canvas, next, and then we're going to reverse transition direction and loop the canvas view. So they're going to loop around. So they're not just going to stop. So that's what that's going to do. It's just going to send you to the next view over here. So that's a little complicated, but once you get the hang of it, it's quite easy. Okay, next up I want to show you another feature when it comes to placing images or other elements on your page. And so what I want you to do is when you place an image or you have some text, you're going to come over here to size and position. So another thing I want to highlight before I get into that is you can also have a lot of control over the SEO and the description, which is really good for getting people to find your site and all that. So just something to keep in mind under image, you can find all of that information. All right, now size and position. This is going to come in really handy for when you want to align things and you want to add an image that is the exact same size as the template. You can come up here and find those exact dimensions here, as well as where they lie on the page. So X is going to be where it lies horizontally, Y is going to be where it falls vertically. And then another really nice feature is you're going to be able to center things within a canvas. So this wouldn't be the best example. Let's just go over here to about. So for example, I want this square to be centered within the page, so you can center that within the canvas. You can center it vertically as well. And so another feature I want to show you is how to use these horizontal locking features. These are really great, and I use these in a lot of my designs, so it's good to know. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a preview of what this looks like. So here, the horizontal locking feature is going to have the image locked on to the left side where I have it falling. So right now I have these two images going off of the page. And so I'm gonna go ahead and click these two so you can see how the difference between these elements. So we're gonna preview that. And I'm gonna have to go scroll down here. So now these images are locked to the left-hand side and the right-hand side, but they're not going to stretch. So there's a difference between them locking in place and stretching. So here we're gonna go ahead and click this option and that option, which I guess I didn't have that. I had that selected like that before. But yeah, so now they are going to stretch. So they're gonna fit the full width that I had them in. Sorry, that wasn't the best example, but you can get an idea of what I mean. So they're gonna stretch to fit that whole area versus just staying in this same orientation and locking over there. So I'm gonna do this one more time just so you can get an idea of exactly how that works. So yeah, for this example, so you can see how this image stays over to the left and it doesn't stretch at all. So that's how those works. And then this center one is it's gonna completely stretch the full width versus just either locking in left or right. It's gonna stretch the entire full width. So that is a important element that I wanted to show you. Another cool thing, so if you take your mouse and you drag over multiple elements within the content block, this alignment tool is gonna come up, and you can either have everything aligned to the canvas, you can have all the objects align to the left side, to the center. You can also match sizes. So if you have a bunch of icons or something like that, you can match the size here. And if you hover over, it'll explain exactly what you're matching the size. So you can match the size of the width, you can match the size of the height, or both. And then you can also distribute. So this also comes in handy when you have lists or something like that and you want everything to have the same distribution in between the lines. So all of the space between each line of text or each line of icons or whatever it may be, lines, they're all going to be horizontally or vertically spaced correctly. So these are just really nice tools for just making sure everything is clean and balanced and cohesive. Right, last but not least, I want to just quickly highlight how the blogs are set up. So I'm going to dive more into this based on the template that you purchase, because a lot of the attributes are going to be different based on the design. But just to give you a high level look at how the blogs are set up, this is actually a preview of the blog. This isn't actually how it's going to be even set up. So I just want to just highlight a few things. So the way this is set up is you're going to have your design within Showit, but it's going to be really run through WordPress, and you're going to do your articles and write your blogs through WordPress, and then it's going to pull into Showit and it's going to apply to these designs. So how it's set up is I have different text properties that I have set up here. So this is a post category, for example. So over here under text properties and under WordPress, it says placeholder. This is a post category. So this is going to pull in the different categories I have based on what I have set up in the WordPress backend. And so these are, you can set up 4 or 5 different categories, and then that's going to pull in. Here are how I've set up the articles. And so here is the post date, and you can actually choose the different format there. This is going to pull in the featured image that, again, you're going to set up within the back end of in WordPress. Here is the post title and the post content. So all of that is set up through the text properties, and that's going to pull in from the WordPress backend. So that's just a high level look at how that's set up. I'm not going to dive into the details of it in this basic Showit video, so we'll dive into that later. One thing I do want to highlight is this very help docs that Showit provides you. So if you click on that little icon with the question mark on the bottom there, you can come over here and you can actually search different articles that they have, and usually each article has some sort of video that walks you through step by step on how to either any design of your site, building your blog, SEO and analytics, domain and hosting. So there are a lot of very helpful articles here, pretty much on anything, covering anything that you would need to learn about designing within Showit. So these are really helpful. And then here, you can actually chat with a person. So say the article is still kind of confusing, you're not sure how to do something, you can send them a message here, and they usually get back to you within an hour or two, and sometimes they'll just even go in and make the adjustments for you. If they understand what changes you need made, they'll just go in there and fix it for you. So they're really, really helpful, and so definitely utilize this tool if you get stuck. You can actually access it from your back, this setting here, or this page here, just by clicking on that little ask a question. So yeah, those are really helpful, and I think that covers everything that I wanted to in just the basic beginner's guide to the Showit platform. This really is an amazing tool for your business. It really gives you the capabilities of doing so many unique things with your website. So definitely just play around with it, see what works for you, and just have fun. And I am always here if you need additional support. Good luck. And then over here, you